official investigation has found that prosecutors were right to accept a plea of manslaughter on the grounds of diminished responsibility for the man, Valdo Calocane, who killed 3 people in Nottingham in the summer of 2023. Calocane admitted killing the students Barnaby Webber, Grace O'Malley Kumar and the school caretaker Ian Coates. The report has found, though, that there is room for improvement in the way the Crown Prosecution Service deals with the families of victims of these kind of crimes. Let's speak to Joseph Kotrie-Monson, a broadcaster and criminal defence lawyer. Joseph, it's always great to get your thoughts. So what did you make of this report's decision that the Crown Prosecution Service were right?
Well, good afternoon, Kamal. As always, glad to be back. First of all, no happy outcomes here. Goes without saying. 3 tragically lost their lives in terrible circumstances. More had life-changing injuries, as I understand it. But 3 things were addressed and identified, and judgments given in the inspectorate's report. The first is that the decision on manslaughter was the correct one. It's important for anyone who thinks that that was inappropriate. Please read that report that's available in PDF and summary form on the CPS Inspectorate website. Great efforts, I have to say, and I'm a defence lawyer, not keen to give too many favours to the prosecution, my natural opponents, Kamali, but great efforts made to make sure that there was really no possibility of a murder conviction being secured in this case. Multiple experts and even experts to check the experts being instructed by the prosecution. I think Karim Khalil KC leading that team, it's a thorough job. The service from the CPS, fundamental, because of course the service from the CPS is not just about what they do in court, it's about how they communicate with families, especially in a case like this. That was very challenging from the outset because, you know, without asking people to picture being in the family situation, it was very, very difficult for them to engage in the early weeks and months afterwards to hear the details, not just of the horrific injuries and last moments of their loved ones, but also of the analysis and ongoing mental analysis and checks that were being done by eminent psychiatric experts on behalf of the prosecution. There was, of course, more engagement later, and no family can be blamed, can they, in these circumstances, and a permanent offer from the CPS. Again, my natural antagonists in proceedings as a defence lawyer in murder cases, but really the chronology does betray that the CPS, or does demonstrate that the CPS made great efforts to keep the family informed. And of course, it was always difficult, and manslaughter was always going to be unwelcome for the families.
Absolutely. And Joseph, let's just pick up some of the points in the recommendations then. And the first one is about the CPS and the family liaison officers. The report says that family liaison officers were the ones explaining some of the legal concepts to the family. They say that the CPS should do that in future. What kind of difference would that make, do you think?
They're not lawyers. They're often not even senior police officers. They're often PCs acting within a criminal investigation department attached to the murder squad. The reason for that is, of course, the view is taken that they want their best trained operational detectives out there solving the crimes. I think actually what I've seen in really, you know, kind of sensitive cases, often cases involving infant mortality that my firm has been involved in, for example, the family liaison officers, you can see that they are performing a role that they're not adequately trained, equipped, or in some cases suited for. I think there's also recommendations made about the use of the word consultation that I think was used by family liaison officers. Well, consultation implies, doesn't it, that this is a conversation and we'll get to a conclusion. But lawyers in this case for the prosecution knew from a very early stage, and they even instructed their own expert very early because they knew this, that this was going to be in all likelihood a manslaughter rather than a murder, because all the signs screamed from the outset that this was a very, very, very ill man, and that was acting upon him at the time. Again,
well, Joseph, sorry to interrupt because we don't have loads of time, but I do want to get that question to you about that the word consult. They say that that may have been an issue because there's no legal requirement on the CPS to consult the victims' families, but you know, I'm not a legal expert. Should there be some kind of requirements to talk to victims' families?
Yeah, there should. But the problem is, if the CPS had a statutory requirement to do so, it'd immediately grind to a halt, because the CPS and the police, for that matter, are catastrophically, on a daily basis, Kamali, underfunded in a way that's creating cumulative and generational neglect of some of the duties that we expect of them. And it's not their fault. Since 2009, there have been these 22% cuts, which we were told weren't frontline. And of course, that's just rubbish. And a failure to be able to recruit to make up for those massive losses of capacity. They can't even attend when people get burgled, people are invaded in their own homes. If they can't do that, consulting with victims after the fact and their families, it's sadly beyond them. Something structurally and politically, that's where the solution lies.
Certainly does, and that's a conversation for another day. Joseph, it's always great to get your thoughts. Sorry to have to cut it short, but Joseph Kotrie-Monson there, do appreciate you being with us this afternoon.